This video will show you how to set up codecs with the ChatGPT account in CC Studio IDE. With just a few simple steps, you'll be able to leverage AI-powered code assistance right within your development environment. First, let's open the AI Assistant Configurator. Click on the Help menu in the top menu bar. Now, select Get Started with AI. This will open the AI Assistant Configurator view where we can configure codecs. Also, if you see a Get Started view, you can click on the Set up an AI System link to access the same configurator. You'll see a list of available agents. Select Codecs from the options. If the Codecs extension isn't already installed, it will be installed automatically when you press Apply later. Once Codecs has been selected, we move to the connection settings. First, we need to select our provider. For ChatGPT users, select OpenAI from the provider dropdown. Next, select your scope. You can choose Workspace to apply these settings only to the current workspace, or Global to use them across all your workspaces. Most users prefer Global for convenience, but you can choose based on your needs. After selecting your scope, you'll see fields for API key and base URL. The other are optional depending on your setup. If you're using ChatGPT login, leave them blank and log in later from the Codecs interface. If you have an OpenAI API key from platform.openai.com, enter it here. If your organization uses a locally hosted model, contact your IT department for the key and base URL. You may also see optional fields for custom headers and model. These fields are optional. If your provider requires custom headers, you can enter them here. You can also specify a preferred model for code assistance, or leave it blank to use your provider's default. Your configuration is now set. The settings file location will be shown, and this is where your credentials will be securely stored. To enable advanced AI functionality with codecs, check the box for Enable CC Studio IDE Ecosystem NCP servers. This allows codecs to interact with CC Studio IDE's build system, debugger, and other tools for more integrated assistance. These MCP servers run locally on your machine and are only active when CC Studio IDE is running. They give codecs deeper context about your project. Now click the Apply button to save your configuration and enable codecs. If the codecs extension isn't already installed, CC Studio IDE won't install it now. This typically takes just a minute or two. Once the installation completes and your settings are validated, the codecs extension will be ready to use. Now open codecs from the configurator or the View Codecs menu. Since we left the API key and base URL fields blank, you'll see a login prompt. Select your ChatGPT account to authenticate. Note that if you successfully configured the API key and base URL earlier, you won't see it as login prompt. Codecs will be ready to use immediately. Once codecs is set up and authenticated, it is required to set up the codecs agent sandbox to allow codecs to execute code in a safe and controlled environment. Press the Continue button to configure the sandbox environment. This will allow codecs to execute code and perform actions on your behalf without giving it unrestricted access to your machine. After the configuration is complete, CC Studio IDE will automatically restart. After it is restarted, codecs will be available for use. Now let's see codecs in action. In the chat interface, I'll ask codecs to increase the blink rate of the LED of my project. Codecs analyzes the project context You can see the code, project structure, and build configuration thanks to MCP servers that were enabled. Codex identifies the LED blink timing code and proposes a change to increase the blink rate. It modifies the source file directly in your editor. Notice how Codex is working directly with your project files, not just providing suggestions in a chat window. Codex automatically builds the project to verify the changes compiled correctly. The build completes successfully. Now the updated firmware is ready to be loaded onto the device. Next, I asked Codex to load and run the program on the device. Codex uses its integration with the CC Studio IDE debugger to load the firmware and execute it on the target device. The program loads and runs on the device, and I can see the LED is now blinking at the faster rate requested. This demonstrates the power of Codex with CC Studio IDE, AI-assisted development that goes beyond suggestions to actually modify, build, and run your code.